The wind over Antarctica doesn't just blow, it screams. It sweeps across an endless white desert where temperatures can drop lower than -80 degrees Celsius. The air is so cold that your breath can freeze before it even disappears. Nothing seems alive here. No cities, no forests, no people. Just miles and miles of silent ice stretching beyond the horizon. But what if this frozen emptiness is hiding something? What if the thick ice covering Antarctica isn't just ice, but a massive lid covering an ancient world? Scientists say the ice sheet here is so deep that you could stack several skyscrapers on top of each other and still not reach the ground. In some places, the frozen layer sinks more than 4 kilometers into the earth. That means everything underneath has been locked away for millions of years. No sunlight, no air, no human footsteps. For decades, researchers believed that nothing could survive beneath such crushing pressure and darkness. Antarctica looked like the most lifeless place on Earth. But then something strange happened. As technology improved and scientists began drilling deeper into the ice, they started discovering things that completely changed what we thought we knew about this frozen continent. Hidden rivers, ancient forests, mysterious mountains, even strange forms of life that were never supposed to exist here. And the deeper scientists looked, the stranger the discoveries became. Because Antarctica isn't just a frozen desert, it might actually be one of the biggest time capsules on the entire planet. To understand why these discoveries are so shocking, we first need to go back in time. Long before Antarctica became the icy wasteland we know today, it looked completely different. Millions of years ago, this continent wasn't covered in ice at all. In fact, it was warm, lush, and full of life. About 90 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period, Antarctica was part of a supercontinent called Gondwana. Instead of glaciers and snowstorms, the land was covered in thick green forests. Rivers flowed in valleys. Dinosaurs roamed freely across the land. Yes, dinosaurs once walked in Antarctica. Scientists discovered fossilized tree roots, pollen grains, and ancient plant remains buried deep beneath the ice. When researchers studied these fossils, they realized something unbelievable. Antarctica used to be home to massive rainforests. Imagine that. A place now known as the coldest region on Earth once had towering trees, thick vegetation, and a climate similar to modern-day New Zealand. So what happened? Over millions of years, the continent slowly shifted. Antarctica drifted toward the South Pole, where sunlight became weaker and winters grew longer. Eventually, temperatures dropped enough for ice sheets to form. Once the ice started building, it never stopped. Layer after layer of snow piled up, compressing into solid ice. Over millions of years, this ice became kilometers thick, sealing the ancient world below like a frozen vault. Everything that once existed on this land became trapped beneath the ice. Forests, rivers, mountains, even the atmosphere of the past. But here's where things start getting truly fascinating. In the late 20th century, scientists began drilling deep ice cores from Antarctica's surface. These cores were like long cylinders of frozen history. Inside them were tiny air bubbles trapped in the ice. These bubbles contained the exact air that existed on Earth hundreds of thousands, even millions of years ago. By studying these frozen bubbles, scientists could actually see what the atmosphere looked like in ancient times. Levels of oxygen, carbon dioxide, even traces of ancient volcanic eruptions. It was like holding a piece of Earth's past in your hands. But while these ice cores were incredible, they were only scratching the surface. Because the real mysteries weren't inside the ice, they were underneath it. Everything changed when scientists began using satellites and radar to scan the continent from space. Instead of seeing just rock and ice below the surface, researchers started noticing strange shapes hidden deep beneath the glaciers. Massive valleys, underground lakes, and entire mountain ranges buried beneath kilometers of ice. One of the most shocking discoveries was something called Lake Vostok. Hidden nearly 4 kilometers under the ice, this lake is one of the largest freshwater lakes on Earth. It's about the size of Lake Ontario and has been completely sealed off from the outside world for at least 15 million years. Think about that for a moment. This lake has been isolated longer than humans have existed as a species. No sunlight has ever reached its waters during that time. No fresh air has entered. No outside organisms should have survived there. And yet, scientists believe life may exist inside it. When researchers drilled close to the lake and studied the surrounding ice, they found tiny traces of microbial organisms. These microscopic life forms appeared to be living in total darkness, surviving in freezing water under crushing pressure. Creatures that evolved in complete isolation from the rest of Earth. It was something scientists had never seen before. But Lake Vostok wasn't the only hidden lake.
As satellites continued scanning Antarctica, researchers discovered more than 400 underground lakes buried beneath the ice sheet. Some of them are connected by hidden rivers flowing through tunnels under the glaciers. In other words, there is an entire network of water moving beneath Antarctica, completely invisible from the surface. But here's the twist nobody expected. In 2022, scientists investigating an ice shelf called Larsen Ice Shelf noticed something strange in satellite images. A crack appeared in the ice where there had been none before. At first, it looked like a normal fracture caused by shifting ice, but when researchers examined the images more closely, they realized something unusual was happening beneath the surface.
To investigate, scientists drilled a narrow hole through nearly 500 meters of ice and lowered a camera into the darkness. What the camera recorded shocked everyone. Instead of empty water, they found life. Thousands of tiny shrimp-like creatures called amphipods were swimming beneath the ice shelf. Alongside them were strange jellyfish and other unknown organisms. These animals were living in total darkness under a massive slab of ice that had never been exposed to sunlight. No plants, no algae, no obvious food sources. So how were they surviving? Scientists believe nutrients may flow into these hidden ecosystems from the ocean currents far away. Over time, these nutrients drift beneath the ice and feed the creatures living there. It's like a secret underwater world completely cut off from the surface. But Antarctica still had more surprises waiting. Using advanced radar technology, scientists discovered something else buried beneath the ice, an enormous mountain range. The Gamburtseff Mountains stretch more than 1,200 kilometers across the continent. Some of their peaks reach heights of nearly 3,000 meters. That's comparable to the European Alps. But here's the strange part. These mountains are completely buried beneath kilometers of ice. No human has ever seen them directly. No climber has ever stood on their peaks. They exist in total darkness beneath the frozen surface. And even more puzzling, scientists don't fully understand how they formed. Normally, mountain ranges appear where tectonic plates collide, but Antarctica's tectonic activity doesn't fully explain the shape of the Gamburtseff Mountains. Some researchers believe they formed hundreds of millions of years ago and were later preserved by the growing ice sheet. In other words, Antarctica's ice didn't just cover the mountains, it protected them. But perhaps the most fascinating discoveries buried in Antarctica aren't mountains or lakes. They're objects from outer space. Over thousands of years, meteorites have fallen across the planet. Most of them disappear quickly due to weather, vegetation, or ocean currents. But Antarctica is different. When meteorites land on the ice here, they remain perfectly preserved. The slow movement of glaciers eventually concentrates these space rocks in certain areas, creating natural meteorite collection zones. Scientists exploring Antarctica have found more meteorites there than anywhere else on Earth. Some of them are older than our planet itself. One of the most famous meteorites discovered here came from Mars. When researchers studied it, they found tiny structures that looked similar to fossilized microbes. This discovery sparked one of the biggest scientific debates in history. Could life have once existed on Mars? And if microscopic life could survive on Mars, could similar life exist beneath Antarctica's ice? This idea changed the way scientists look at icy worlds across the universe, because Antarctica may actually be a model for other planets and moons. For example, Jupiter's moon Europa is covered by a thick shell of ice. Beneath it lies a massive ocean that may contain life. Saturn's moon Enceladus also hides a global ocean under its frozen crust. By studying Antarctica's hidden lakes and ecosystems, scientists are learning how life might survive in the most extreme environments imaginable. But despite all these discoveries, Antarctica is still one of the least explored places on Earth. More than 98% of the continent remains covered by ice, which means the vast majority of what lies beneath it is still unknown. Entire valleys may exist that no one has ever mapped. Underground rivers may flow through hidden tunnels. Ancient landscapes from millions of years ago may still be preserved exactly as they were when dinosaurs roamed the Earth. And every time scientists develop new technology, they uncover another mystery buried beneath the ice. For the researchers working in Antarctica, every drill hole is like opening a door to the past. Every radar scan reveals shapes no human has ever seen before. And every discovery raises even more questions. Because if hidden lakes can exist beneath kilometers of ice, if mysterious ecosystems can survive in total darkness, if ancient forests once grew where glaciers now stand, then what else might still be waiting below? Antarctica may look like an empty frozen wasteland, but beneath that silent white surface lies an entire world,
a world that has been sealed away for millions of years, a world filled with secrets that scientists are only just beginning to uncover. And the truth is, we've barely scratched the ice.